Warning, the following podcast contains very offensive language, so if you're easily offended or upset, then maybe this isn't the podcast for you. We're going to move on to my TV recommendation for the week. Like I say, it's going to be Breaking Bad, so we're going to move on to that now. So next up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be moving on to my TV recommendation for the week. When it's just me, it's going to be one, and when I have a guest, maybe it'll be more. We don't know. I'm working it out as I go along. And this week's recommendation is probably the greatest TV show ever made. I now rank it above Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones is ending. Breaking Bad co-stars Bryan Cranston from Malcolm in the Middle, who's Malcolm's dad, and Godzilla 2014, who also had Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Aaron Taylor Johnson's dad was played by Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston stars as Walter White. Also co-starring with him is Aaron Paul from Need for Speed and Central Intelligence as Jesse Pinkman. Along with that, we also have another few cast members. Also starring is Anna Gunn as Skylar White, who's Walt's wife. Dean Norris as Hank Schrader, who's Walt's brother-in-law. He's a cop, and he's Walt's brother-in-law. Betsy Brandt as Hank's wife, Marie Schrader. She is also Skylar's sister. That's where they're related. We have RJ Might as Walt Jr., who's Walt's son. Bob Odenkirk as Saul Goodman, and once you've watched Breaking Bad, there's another separate TV series called Better Call Saul, where Bob Odenkirk is the lead character, Saul Goodman, in that. It's an offshoot from Breaking Bad. Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring, who's a bad guy in season 2 and 3, I believe. And Jonathan Banks as Mike Ehrmantraut, who's a secondary character that you see quite a lot. This is also along with Stephen Michael Quezada as Steve Gomez, who's Hank's partner. Then we have Kristen Ritter as Jane Margolis, who's Jessica Jones, who's Jesse's girlfriend later down the line. So we have Jesse Plemons as Todd Alquist, who's in the final seasons, one of the bad guys, along with Laura Fraser as Lydia Rodart Quayle, or whatever her name is, I think. And she's another bad guy in season 4. So yeah, so that's the main cast. There's tons of others, but if I named the whole cast, I'd be here all day, to be honest. So it's set in New Mexico. Breaking Bad tells the story of Walter White, a struggling and depressed high school chemistry teacher who's suffering with stage 3 lung cancer. Together with his former student, Jesse Pinkman, White turns to a life of crime by producing and selling crystal meth manufactured to be an iconic blue colour to secure his family's financial future before he dies, while navigating the dangers of the criminal world. So, yeah, that's the main stuff that you need to know. Now I'm going to go into my opinion and why I think it's the greatest show of all time, to be totally honest. So, it's basically Bryan Cranston's defining role. That's the thing that most people know him as Walter White. He's excellent in this. He's one of the best. It's one of the best acting performances on TV that I've probably ever seen. He is like that good. Like the pathos he brings to the character, the emotion, the heart. When he's faced with an evil criminal, he gets scared and you could just feel the emotion and why he's doing it. He's not just a criminal for the sake of being a criminal. He's a criminal because he's trying to do a good thing for his family. But as it goes on, he starts to enjoy the criminal life and he becomes deeper and deeper and deeper, and then he can't pull himself out. So that's why it's so good. It's probably one of the best casts ever assembled in entertainment. Every single character hits every single note they need to hit, and it's fantastic. It was when it was on, I obviously watched it once it finished because I never heard of Breaking Bad till like 2015-16 when it finished. But when it was on, I always heard it's one of the most compelling dramas like ever put to TV. Week to week to week to week, you never knew what was going to happen. You never know how it was going to happen. You never know whether Walt was going to become bad or stay good or whatever. It just blew my mind at the time. Plot is easy to follow, like I said, with Fantastic Four. So it's not many interwoven things like the MCU where you need prior knowledge of whatever. You start at season 1 and you go to season 5 and that's it. It's one self-contained story, so you don't need to research tons before. You could just put it on, done. And the plot's pretty simple because it just follows Walt and Jesse, and then you see Walt reflecting his wife, and Hank is the only really separate story, and then the criminal stuff, which you see later on, which don't want to spoil. The soundtrack this one is pretty good. It's like full of like indie rock stuff from this generation, the 70s and the 80s. Really good stuff. Play a clip, but I'll probably get copyrighted. So yeah, it has many quotable lines and has a variety of different directors. So a lot of directors got their start on this. Like I remember the Fly episode where they literally just followed the Fly around for the whole episode. It was so cool. You'd never thought of that would have been so cool until you watched it. Yeah, I'll put some like I might put a little clip of like some quotable lines in here if I don't get copyrighted. Let's see how we get on first. So cinematography, it's like some of the best cinematography ever. Like colour grading, the oranges and the hues were fantastic. The big, broad, open pictures when you're on the road with Walt and when he was doing stuff. And like when it needed to be dark, it was pitch black, and when it needed to be light and bright, it was so colourful. It was fantastic cinematography. Whoever did it, like, deserves a pay rise, to be honest, I think. So that's mainly Breaking Bad. That's my opinion on it. I just think you should check it out. There's not much more I can say without spoiling it. Just talking about the cinematography and stuff like that. There's not really much else I can say. Just, I'd love it if you guys could check it out. And if you do check it out, the same with Fantastic Four. Leave a comment in the description below. Tell me that I've done good, or tell me that I've done shit, either or. But yeah, please leave a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe. So just quickly, guys, I'm going to give you the Rotten Tomatoes and the Metacritic, just because you guys like to hear it, I hope. So first up, Rotten Tomatoes is just a 96% rating. I haven't got how many critics rated it because there's just too many. You can keep it on the site. And Metacritic was 87%. Rating based on 98 reviews. So yeah, so that's mainly it. And like I say, but yeah, so that concludes the TV section of the podcast. That's mainly everything that I need to tell you. And